Hello everyone. In this particular video, we'll be rehearsing about the basics of Google Analytics 4 and how these versions are different from the Universal Analytics. Okay, so the components of Google Analytics 4 or GA4 were already in use. We already know that in the form of Universal Analytics, which was basically specifically made for the websites, and the Firebase, which was mainly built for the mobile applications, including iOS, and they had very different approach because the data model was very different. Firebase we can create we used to create funnels, but in the GA3 or the Universal Analytics, it was not possible for us. The interface of GA4 is pretty much similar to the Firebase, and basically GA4 is integrated in such a way that it can be used for both websites and the mobile applications, including iOS. It's an upgraded model with new features and new capabilities and option to stream the data from our web pages. It's built under event-driven schema. We'll discuss in depth later. So let's talk about the first feature, what we were discussing here, like the auto-enabled setting, which is called enhanced measurement. In Universal Analytics, that is GA3, was only tracking the page views by default, right? And for so in for by default, and for any other interactions in our report, we had to implement additional event trackers, or need to configure a GTM container, right? So as an upgrade, we are talking about without the need to change the source code and configure a GTM container. It will automatically do things for us, and it's a suite for auto tracking features called enhanced measurement that was mentioned in the video as well. And if you go deeper, what we can observe there is in automatic events such as first visit for a new user, for a fresh user, session start, okay, and the user engagement, site search, scrolls, and like the clicks what they are doing, or the file downloads, and the form submissions as well, okay. And and we'll also notice that the navigation section in the left hand side is now structured as a multi navigation setup, and with a main navigation that has grouped reports and features, okay. And I'll elaborate it into sections, I would say. These features in, is set up in such a way that we can view reports, explore advertising, and configure. These sections has been created in the left side. And one of the best feature in this cross platform, if we see, and there's no hidden identity of the users, right? If you do not have a Google ID per se, or a CRM ID, they'll track you by your device ID, okay. And you can choose the Google signals as well. So the best feature is we can know the users and client at the other end, or who may not have a Google ID, or a CRM ID if he's an individual. Okay, and there are some few other improvements as well. This uses a real-time report. This uses the real-time reports. Okay, and like more data can be streamed into this platform, and it's having very vast dimensions as well. And a brand new user interface has been created for this particular version, because we already know that the understanding, or the capability to understand, is more into visual scenes, because you can't grab anything from the raw data if you're not that much into the field. And we can see the audience and their behavior as well, and so on, right? And let's talk about the other important feature, which is the debug view. Debug view is a real-time report generated by Google Analytics 4. And what is this debug view? I'll tell you. This is basically we can track or monitor the events in the real time, and the custom parameters what we have set, or the user properties what we have set, that is shown under one roof, okay. And that was all about the debug view. Let's talk about another feature what they have added here is time measurement. In the in the previous version, measuring time within events was a constraint for us, and time was calculated, per user, per session, or per page, like the user interaction was there. And but in Google Analytics 4, what we are observing here, we can calculate time from event A to event B. And in the video, he used a very beautiful example of like adding to a cart and transaction, etc., with an additional feature of excluding audiences. Okay, so the time taken by the user to adding something to a cart when we talk about e-commerce goals, and making a transaction and successfully. Okay, so what is the time, like a day he took, or like 10 hours he took, that kind of report we are getting from this particular feature. And we have an additional feature as well of excluding the audiences, right? So I'll tell you with an example, you'll get to know better. And this example was used in that particular video. If we are placing an advertisement for and some audience purchased it already, so for a particular period of time we have an option to exclude them for further advertisement. And until and unless they are willing to come back and looking for more items related to that thing. Okay, so we have a wonderful feature like that. And another important feature which is introduced is event scoping feature for audiences. Okay, so what is this? I'll tell you. In Google Analytics 4, the values of custom dimensions and custom metrics are supplied by logged event parameters. Okay, so let me tell you with an better understanding. So before we created an event scoped custom dimension, okay, for a particular set of audience, and we need to log an event parameter in our GA4 reporting view, okay, for them. And not only event scope, we have new things as well, like user scope, session scope, dimensions are also available in this version. And there are a few modifications in the conversion tracking as well, in which the anonymous data which was used to stored, like permanently stored, which was of no use, we cannot extract the data as well in GA3. So now we can combine those data, and simple methods are introduced. For example, if I take something, there's an option of slide buttons on those events. If you go to events and just click on the button, okay, for making for marking that particular event as a conversion. Okay, sorry. Earlier you were not be able to mark that previous event as a conversion that was stored there permanently. So now we can change it here. Okay, so that was something about the conversion tracking. And let's talk about what all changes they have done with the events and what is events, right? So we can create special events from an event, actually, while combining the interactions what they have made in order to create some unique events. Okay, what I mean to say is we can create some unique events for audience, right? In order to create, what we need to do is we need to combine the prefixed attributes and the selected and the related or selected events. Okay. For example, I'll take example for you. The example from that particular video, that if you want to, if you want a conversion from a good lead from a B2B site, right? In business to business site, what we are uh, picking is a good lead. And the what can be the possible attributes for a good lead, right? He's downloading something, or he spent 5 minutes or so in a website, he's continuously searching something, and various and multiple clicks has been done, or purchase of a greater value, right? And what we call in our language is a potential customer, okay, a potential member. And form submission has been done. So these kind of attributes, and when we combine some these attributes with the related events, we can create unique events, unique and special events. So another important feature is the creation of funnels, okay, which was available only for the paid versions, and the paid versions of GA3 or Universal Analytics. Okay, so let's talk about. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Yeah. So what is a funnel, right? So funnel is a navigation path, okay, and a series of web pages and events what we create according to our requirement, and which is expected to achieve few goals, as in we have goals as in the form of form submission, lead generation, completing the transaction per se, okay. And this feature allows us to visualize the steps, okay, and our users take to complete steps are, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, wait. um how we can say what is fun, okay. It allows us to visualize the steps like our users take to complete a task, okay, like where he went first, like he clicked on a button, or he clicked the home page, he added something on in the cart, and then he made the transaction in that particular manner. And using this information, what we can do is we can increase the efficiency of the data, and the yeah, it can be improved, and we can run a remarketing campaign as well. What I heard from what I learned from this video, yeah, for some users, for the special audience. And we can also track the performance of the funnel we created, right? Funnel is basically a combination of tasks, and they had some particular goals, right? And we can track the performance as well. How's the perform how is I mean how the audience is responding to that particular funnel, okay. And we can track the time per session, per page, but the time between the interactions, we need to do one thing. We need to push a button called the elapsed time for our funnel, and from point A to point B, for example, landing on our page to download the content, and then again watching a video. And this was the example taken in that video. And what's my capability of thinking, like if someone landed to a Amazon window and he made a purchase, so how much time he took to make that purchase, we can calculate. Google Analytics 4 will calculate the time, and will show us or reflect in that particular page. And we can have other relevant information to the funnels, such as funnels when we create that, such as the next step what they have done after the purchase, or after this funnel, okay, what the users did basically in like we can create all these things in the pathing report, okay. Yeah. So the next thing is the last feature, which is very important. The last feature is data export, okay. How we can use this data if you want to use visualize this data in some other platform like Tableau or Power BI, okay. So there is a format and a schema of Google Analytics 4 property, uh, that the data that's exported to the huge warehouse, like there where they're storing petabytes of data like BigQuery from Google. And the basic difference in both the versions is that now the data is stored in a particular format, okay. And the format is the data set, tables, rows, and columns, okay. If we talk about these things, like for the security purpose, data sets are stored in such a way that the property ID is being generated, okay. And using that thing, when we talk about tables, tables are stored in the form of events underscore the date, that particular date when the event were generated. And when we talk about rows, each row corresponds to an event, okay, any event what we have created. And the columns, they are just simply the field names, okay. And there are few steps to link this BigQuery, and that thing we'll see in the later video. So that was a brief introduction to Google Analytics 4 and how it is different, or how, what kind of integration they have done to the Firebase and to the Universe Analytics. So that was all about GA4. Thank you so much.